Hi guys, Dave here again, and I'm continuing my series on things that used to scare me, but they don't anymore. And the thing that I want to talk about tonight that used to scare me is or was climate change. Now, you may ask yourself, Dave, you don't believe in climate change? Oh, I definitely believe in climate change. I believe that humans are affecting the climate of the world. I believe the ice caps are melting. I believe the one thing that will probably destroy the world and make humans go extinct is climate change. And I think that it's going to get bad by 2050. And I actually think that human beings are going to start to go extinct well before 2100. I think it's an emergency. I read all of the UN climate reports, and I think that in 10 to 15 years we're going to be in real trouble. But you may ask yourself, well, Dave, if you believe all this, why doesn't it scare you anymore? And I'm going to tell you why it doesn't scare me anymore. You know why? Because there's nothing I can do about it. I used to be one of those people that meticulously separated his recyclables. I hated to waste even a drop of water. I gave money to green endeavors. And then I started to look around, and I seen companies clear cutting or burning down huge, vast acreage in Brazil, burning down along the Amazon, just destroying the rainforest. And I seen companies like Koch brothers, Koch industry, just polluting everywhere. And I read about how trash is just dumped in the ocean, and there's this huge plastic particles that fish are eating and that we're eating, and how Fukushima in Japan, millions and millions and millions of gallons of radioactive water is just being poured into the Pacific Ocean. And I watched a documentary about garment factories in India that just literally dump the dye that they use to make these garments into the river. And I realized something. I can't do shit. Me recycling my plastics, I ain't doing shit. You know, my water bill, I have a pool, and my water bill is $70 a month. That's how much I limit my water. It is April. I live in Texas. I'm already getting notices in my water bill that we're under already stage 2 drought restrictions, and it's only April. The average high temperature is 85 to 90 degrees. What's going to happen in July and August when the temperature is 105? What can I do? I can't do anything. I could drive down the highway in my car and just constantly throw out plastic, my bottles and wrappings from food, and it wouldn't even equal up, if I did that all year, to one day's pollution in the Permian Basin where they're fracking a couple hundred miles from my house. I've driven through West Texas where they do all this fracking, and it's horrible. It's disgusting. The air stinks. It's got this brown haze. There's trash everywhere. It's junk. There's nothing I can do. And what I find really amusing is, as much as I respect Elon Musk as a businessman and somebody who looks to the future, and his Teslas, but I understand that Teslas, it's just a fad. It's just a thing for people to say, ooh, I have a Tesla, because it makes them feel like people think they're rich and they're doing something. You're not doing anything. The only way Teslas would be worth anything is if you didn't have to plug them up. When you plug up a Tesla to a charging station or at your house, where do you think that energy is coming from? It's coming from the freaking grid. It's coming from the natural gas coal firing plants. You're doing nothing. You're doing nothing. It's like masturbation. You're not accomplishing anything. You know, it's so ridiculous. It's so ridiculous. And the thing that makes me realize that I have no power, and it doesn't matter what I do. It doesn't matter if I worry about it or not. There's still other Americans out there voting for people that deny it's even going on. There are Republicans and even Democrats who will not lift a finger to do anything. They're not going to do anything until Florida's underwater. Where I live in Texas, Houston, Corpus Christi are all underwater. Then maybe they'll give a shit. Maybe, if it affects them. I think the only time Florida will give a shit is when Florida's totally underwater. Then maybe, all the rich people and all the Republicans will be like, hey, my mansion's underwater. Damn it. Something must be going on. But, I respect like that Greta Thunberg. And I understand her passionate speeches. She's young. But I'm telling you, you can be off the grid as much as you want. But until you get huge corporations off the grid, it's never happening. Until you get rid of Exxon, BP, and all those big, huge oil companies, it's never happening. Remember a couple years ago, or how many times, not even a couple years ago, how many times can you remember just oil spilling into the Gulf or spilling into this place or spilling into that place? The average person, we couldn't do that much pollution in our lifetime. And a company can just dump millions of gallons of oil into the ocean and go, whoops, sorry, we didn't mean to do that, but oh well. Oh well. So what is the average person going to do? I believe that it's going to kill us, but there's nothing I can do about it. And the thing that drives me crazy is I have a 9-year-old daughter. I never wanted to have kids. I was 38 when my daughter was born. One of the reasons I never wanted to have kids, because I looked at the world and I knew it was going to shit. But I have a 9-year-old daughter now, and I wish I could change the world for her, but I can't. I have no power. I can make these little YouTube videos, couple people watch them. Doesn't change anything. It doesn't fix anything. We're already dead. We don't even realize it. We're living on borrowed time. You think coronavirus was bad? Just think about all of that ice melting. And think about the billions of bacteria and viruses that are laying dormant in that ice as it melts just to be released onto the earth. Viruses that we've never even seen before. We're dead. We're dead. Parts of the United States, I say within the next 10 years, Vegas, Tucson, Phoenix, are going to be bye-bye. Because Lake Mead and Lake Powell are going to go belly up dry. And all of those cities and all those people are going to have no water. And then when Hoover Dam shuts down, they're not going to have power either. So in 10 years, Las Vegas will be gone, because you can't have a city that big in the desert with no water. Same thing with Arizona, Phoenix, and Southern California. LA is another city destined for death. It's going to happen. I don't know when, but it's coming. We're going to have worse hurricanes. We're going to have worse droughts. Eventually, people are going to want to build a wall, even though I'm against building the wall. Because those that live around the equator, it's going to get so bad that we're going to see literally tens of millions of people from South America rushing north. Rushing north because it's going to get so hot down there that people are not even going. And look it up. There's articles about this where they forecast that it's going to get so hot around the equator that even at night, when people are trying to sleep, if they don't have full power air conditioners, they're going to dehydrate in their sleep because the night temperature is going to be that hot eventually. Maybe by, 2040, 2050. You think people are crossing the border en masse now? Wait till that happens. Wait till 1 million people go to sleep one night and don't wake up because they dehydrated because it was so hot and they didn't have air conditioning. There's going to be a mass exodus, north or south. So we're going to get a lot. Imagine, and look at some of the places, some of the most populated places in the world. Central Africa, India. Where are all these billions of people going to go? It's going to be mass hysteria. I can't fix it. So why worry about it? There's no reason to be scared. You know, I used to see smoke rising into the sky out of a car, like black smoke. You ever seen that black smoke? People, like those guys that drive the big trucks, they think it's really funny to hit their gas pedal and send all this black smoke into the air. And I used to think to myself, man, that's horrible. Those people should be ashamed of themselves. But I look at it now and I'm like, who gives a shit? One fracking oil rig out in the Permian Basin pumps out more fucking pollution than that stupid truck does. You know? And what people don't understand, they always, you always talk about CO2. Just wait till all the permafrost melts and all that methane that's been trapped in that frozen soil explodes into the atmosphere. You think CO2 is bad? Read about methane and how bad it is, how much of a global warming chemical it is. Go look at those videos of the trees leaning over in the Arctic because the permafrost is melting, or where people are setting lakes on fire because of the methane being released or the bubbling in the lakes. Wait till that explodes out. And what's funny about it is people don't realize, and I read this long ago, it takes 20 years for carbon to build up in the atmosphere. So it is 2020, right? Or 2021, excuse me. The effects that we're feeling right now is from 2001. The problems we're having now is from 2001. And from 2001 till today, we only increased production. So we won't feel the effects of the past 20 years till 2041. And they want to like curb. They're going to like, oh, we're going to curb it. We're going to curb it. One of the things that people don't think about this is right now, because of all the particles we put up into the air, we're actually having a little bit of a slowdown because of something called global dimming. Global dimming, imagine Mary Poppins. And back in London, or Mary Poppins or Jack the Ripper. And remember how it was always dark in the city, and it was dark like that because of all of the coal dust being put into the air from the smoke that they burned the coal. And it kept the city actually more dreary, but it kept it cooler because that smoke, that coal dust in the sky was actually stopping the UV rays and the light from reaching the earth. So imagine they want to stop everything by 2030. Well, when all those particles fall out of the sky, they say it can take up to a few months before that happens. You can read the UN reports about it. When all those particles fall out of the sky, now we don't even have the effects of global dimming. Now the temperatures are really going to go up. So it's pretty much like in slow motion. We pulled the trigger already, and the bullet is just flying through the air real slow. It's going to hit, just don't know the exact second. So I hate to bust your bubble. If you went down and bought a Tesla, or you make sure you recycle, or you give money to Greenpeace, or whatever you do, you put solar panels on your house, that's awesome. But it ain't going to help. Because you're one person out of 8 billion people that are polluting more than you could ever pollute in companies and factories, and flying in private planes and living in freaking 20,000 square foot mansions. And look at Dubai. They're freaking making skiing mountains with snow inside. Just imagine the power that it takes to keep that snow from melting when it's 120 degrees outside in the desert in freaking Arabia. It's insanity. You're dead. I'm dead. It's over. Kiss your ass goodbye. And this is goodbye from David Zoe Zizzles. Have a great one. Bye.